Memorial Day shooting and deer hunting prep with the Remington 1911 R1S in 45 ACP. William Hovey Smith, 2020. I'm an author, and I have a number of outdoor books as well as a recent business book, Create Your Own Job Security. In this book, I advocate individual entrepreneurship. In short, you start your own business anytime, anywhere, any place, at any age when you need to raise a little money, like maybe right now. My newest book is Father of the Grooms. This is a novel, and it has some interesting action sequences in it, including using a pair of stainless steel 45 ACP pistols. And that's part of the reason I have the gun and part of the reason I'm doing the testing. This is Hovey Smith, the Backyard Sportsman. And this is our first 100-degree day here in Georgia this year, or so I understand. And what I'm doing is I'm in my food plot and I'm getting ready for fall hunting season. Now I do things a little bit different. I combine a planted food plot with one that's largely natural. And this I've been developing over the last 15 years. So what I have is in this direction a relatively narrow strip across the back of the field of mixed grains. There are oats and a little wheat out there, amongst other things. Then here I'm standing in a plot that I keep mowed for my firing range. And I have a built-up deer stand in that direction, 100 yards, a 200 yards, and a 275-yard target butt downrange. Then, around me on both sides of this field, which in total is about 6 acres, I have what is now approximately and perhaps 150-yard crabapple, both of which my deer really love to feed on when they bear fruit. This year, some of the crabapples will bear. I haven't noticed any fruit on the persimmons yet, however. So it doesn't look like we'll have any persimmons this year. Well, in the meantime, I'm taking advantage of the opportunity of being out here to shoot my 1911 pistol. This is a Remington R1, a stainless steel gun, and I'm actually going to load it up with some hunting loads of 230 grain bullets for use during deer season, which is now legal in Georgia. It once was not, but it is now. I've already shot it with some 185 grains, and I've got some 185 grain cases loaded. So I'm going to shoot those up. Interesting about these reloads, I loaded them with large rifle primers intentionally because that's what I had, and the 1911 is a robust pistol and it shouldn't have any trouble shooting them. So we're going to give it a try. We're going to shoot some 50 or so and see if they will actually function reliably. So this is the first full test of this ammunition. This is a view of the planted food plot and my built-up deer stand in the shade in the background. And that's exactly why it was built in that place. So it would be shaded and perhaps hide some of the movement on the inside. And now we're looking down the range and you can see some crabapple right there in the middle of the frame. And further down, you'll see a scattering of persimmon trees. In some areas, they are really thick. Well, how did we do? Towards brass catching reasonably well. There are some off the edges of the sheet, both this side and the far side, but the majority of them wound up on the sheet, and those that didn't are fairly close and easily spotted. So we'll be able to police up, the great majority of the brass. In this 100-degree heat, that brass is just too hot to handle, so I'll just purse it up in this sheet and get it home and let it cool off before I do anything with it. My kitchen table reloading has advanced to the point that I'm now loading some 350 grain XTP bullets in 45 ACP for the Remington 1911 R1 stainless, which I have right here. I'm loading this gun to be actually used as a backup gun when I'm muzzleloading hunting, and also as a primary gun for hunting hogs and deer next fall. I've already shown videos about me loading 185 grain XTPs, and I shot the last of those yesterday. This bullet was loaded to a light target load level, and we used it to help zero the gun. And as you see here, it still shoots a little bit to the left. So I have some adjustments to do with the sights. I've adjusted once already and just adjusted again to bring this group more to the center. So that we've done. About the XTP bullets themselves. The 185 grainers were not expanding when fired at low velocity into soil. I don't know if these loaded to near maximum velocity with unique will or not. According to the box here, they're supposed to be used between velocities of 700 feet per second and nearly 1,500 feet per second. Well, that's quite an expansion range. I have no doubt they'll expand at 1,500 feet per second. Now, will they expand at 850 to 900 feet per second that I'm loading? I don't know yet, but we'll see. In loading these bullets, there is a caution, because there are also very similar bullets for the 45 long Colt. That is these here. The 45 long Colt bullets, however, are 0.452 inches in diameter, whilst the correct bullets for the 45 ACP are 0.451 inches in diameter, a thousandth smaller. So you want to make sure you choose the right bullets if you're loading 45 ACP versus 45 long Colt. So watch out for that one. It's easy to pick up the wrong box of bullets. And these are expensive, by the way. They're $45 a box, thereabouts. Well, I load both calibers, so I'll use both sizes. But you must be careful when you're reloading. So far as the look of the bullets themselves, there is actually very little visual difference between the two sizes. The nose cones are almost exactly the same profile. So just having some loose rounds in a box, you would be hard put to pick one from another in a hurry. So watch out for that as well. When I'm reloading, I weigh all of my charges. This is time consuming, but it does give a more precise result. I'm also using an old single stage press here. This is an old herder's press, but I'm using modern Hornaday dies. The seating die I'm using has a floating chamber to help align the bullet in the case more precisely, and I really like that feature. So we've set it up for this particular weight of bullets, and we had to change our settings between the 185 grain and the 230 grain bullet, so we seat it to the correct overall length of the cartridge. We've also dry cycled a magazine full through the gun just to make sure that everything was copacetic. Well, you don't want to load up 180 rounds and then find out that, oh, they won't fit. Oh, they won't go in the magazine. You want to find that out beforehand. So we have. There's no reason to believe that these guns won't function. We're going to actually get and test one other type of bullet. I'm going to order some molds for a 230 grain cast bullet and see if these will work, and if so, are they more or less effective than the XTPs on game. So that's something we have in line for the future. For those who want to learn how to load with a single stage press, I have previous videos about my loading with this press. We're also using this reference for our load data. And I'm not telling you what it is purposefully. And the reason for that is the closed caption part of the videos has sometimes printed that information wrongly. And that can be dangerous. So consequently, I'm not telling you what it is. You can look it up in the book, you can look it up online, and if you get anybody's loading data from YouTube or anywhere else, yes, you should confirm it before you actually load cartridges with it. I use a little special technique so far as measuring the powder, and since most people don't weigh every charge, let me show you how that is done. I'm loading unique powder, and what I do is to pour a little out like this. I've only got a few cases left, so hence a small mound of powder. Take a piece of paper, just bend it in a V, and I've set and zeroed and checked my scales, and I've also checked the measurements here. Yeah, that's exactly what I want to load. And then you trickle the powder in the pan. It slowly comes up. Okay. Now that's a load. It's balanced right here on the balance beam. Take the case out of the loading block. Put the powder in. Immediately take a bullet, seat it in the mouth of the case, put it in the die, load it, inspect it, looks good, and you put it back in the loading block. This way you're ensured that you cannot double charge a case. Now with a 45 ACP and this load of unique, that's really not much of a problem. You could easily see a double charge. But in other cases like 44 Magnum or many rifle cases, it's very easy to double charge. So go ahead and put bullets in the cases if you don't seat the bullets immediately. But seating the bullets immediately ensure that you have one and only one load in that particular case. So we're going to very quickly load up the rest of these and actually get out and maybe do a little shooting yet today. While our previous load was a target level load, this is a full power load. It's shooting a 230 grain bullet versus a 185 grain bullet, and also at a higher velocity. So we should get more felt recoil. And also the brass should fly a little differently. As it turns out, both were true. This is a more powerful load, it has more recoil, and the brass is tossed a little further than usual. Now we did good. The 10 rounds grouped within 3 inches at 25 yards, and 8 of the rounds were within 2 inches. Now I can kill deer with this load or anything else that walks, I think. And here is a look at the group itself, as well as a loaded case and the 230 grain XTP bullet that I used. Should you be wondering, the large rifle primers work just fine. There were no failures to fire in the entire testing, and this means about 100 rounds thus far. The 230 grain bullets are going to have a velocity between 850 and 900 feet per second. And this should be pretty good when actually used on game, but we're going to find that out in the fall. Now, the Hornady XTPs are similar to the Winchester 230 grain hollow points, but are not identical. For more information on my books, blogs, and more than 800 videos, go to www.hoviesmith.com. To find out more about my Father of the Grooms novel, screenplay, and movie project, you can go to fatherofthegrooms.net. Good hunting and good eating from the outdoors. Goodbye, and God bless.